Okay, today we are playing a game on Hanamura. The average SR of this game was 902, and we will be playing Soldier 76 the entire way through. Before we actually get to today's replay, though, we are in the game itself, because I thought it would be easier to illustrate my point in the game itself. Because without wishing to spoil the surprise or anything, the thing that stands out the most in today's game is movement and positioning stuff. So I thought it would be easier to demonstrate rather than trying to describe in abstract terms what I mean. So, if you're trying to get better at any game, really, competitively, to any kind of degree at all, one of the most important first steps in getting better is just being comfortable controlling your character and moving through space. And if you watch people in lower SRs, like I've seen this a lot now, like, people just kind of look uncomfortable playing the game, right? Like, there's a lot of, and tends to be very sort of slow, directionless kind of movement and things like that. Where this is like what we do in today's replay a lot, where we do like this kind of very long forwards and backwards stuff. First off, you don't want to go forwards and backwards like this, because that doesn't actually make you harder to hit, because if I'm just doing this at you, you would not describe me as being harder to hit. I'm actually just getting like larger and smaller occasionally, whereas you're like bob and weave kind of stuff, right? So don't like do this, try to like go in like sideways instead, because then you're actually like moving around more. But the other thing that always stands out is people take very long, slow movements, right? You watch, oh, he's going to go that way, he goes that way for a while, and you want to avoid doing this kind of stuff because it makes it easier to predict you, basically. Because if the person's paying attention, they're just like, oh, and he's walking that way, he's going to do that for a while, and that makes you very easy to just predict and track. Whereas if you watch a higher SR game, people do this kind of thing instead, because it's a shorter, sharper movement, which makes it harder to predict, basically. Like, you are still moving around, because, like, you don't want to take it too far and do, like, this kind of thing, because then you're not actually moving, right? You're actually kind of just staying in basically the same place. So, the goal is to take, you want to be moving, but you want to be taking short, sharp angles, so that you're harder to predict. And if you watch, like, high SR game, like a McCree gets into a duel with another McCree or something, you see them start doing like this kind of thing. This is not going to be the best demonstration, because I don't play Soldier and McCree that much, so I'm like not the best at this. But you see this kind of stuff, because it comes across as being very random and unpredictable, and like it is kind of random, because you're just kind of like jamming out on the keys. But it's not entirely random, because if you're truly random, you're just like doing this, and like then you're not actually doing anything functionally, right? So you want to do this kind of thing more. And like, if you watch a duel lower SR, McCree gets into a duel with a McCree, you see like this. Right? There's a lot of jumping around and just sort of like flailing. You don't want to jump either, ideally. I'm not saying never jump, but you don't want to do like this kind of thing. Because this is very common in like mid-low SR, where like people do a lot of jumping. Jumping is bad because you can't alter your momentum in the jump, right? You can kinda a little bit, despite what physics would say, but you basically can't alter your momentum. So if the person you're fighting is paying attention, they're like, oh, he's jumping around a lot, I'm just gonna wait until he jumps, and then I can just track him through the jump, because he's kind of locked into that arc. And I'm not saying never jump, but try not to jump that frequently. And if you're like in a duel with like a Junkrat, you're gonna be like jumping over projectiles and shit, so like then you're gonna do a lot of jumping. But if you're fighting like a Soldier, McCree, Widowmaker kind of thing, you don't wanna jump. You wanna kind of like do this sort of stuff. And just avoid taking like long movements, because that's predictable. And we want to try and be as unpredictable as possible, basically. There's another thing, which is where you want to think about where you're actually standing as well. Because we stand like out here a few times during the game. You don't really want to stand out here because you're really far from cover, right? Like, imagine we've only got like a Roadhog as a tank or something like that, right? Like, we can't stand behind anybody's shield. Standing out here is bad, because suppose suddenly you get in trouble, right? You have to suddenly be like, oh, I'm gonna like run back over here, or I'm like, oh, I'm gonna run and try and get behind the rock. You have to like, it's a process to get somewhere, whereas it's better to just stand like this, because then you're like, alright, I can still like do the same things I'm trying to do, but then if I suddenly get in trouble, I'm like, oh, I just duck around this corner, right? You always want to be thinking like, am I near something I can get behind? if I need to. And if you got like a Reinhardt, it doesn't matter so much. You can just kind of like stand up here, and it's like, well, if the Reinhardt starts getting pressured, you can just start falling back because you've got notice and there's a tank in the way. Or let's like stand like this, and then like you've still got cover, right? You can still like duck in and out of the way, and then like really in trouble, you can just sort of retreat backwards. And it's kind of hard to get back here quickly. That kind of thing. You want to stand like, you always want to be near something you can use as cover. And ideally you want to be on high ground. Like, it's not terrible on this map to stand like up here as soldier, because you can still see, right? Like, they still have to come through the gate. And you're just safer up here because you're up on high ground. It's easier to hit people in the head. You can just like use the ground as cover. And you can see this window better if they've got someone who's trying to come through the window. So, you can also like stand up there if like you're kind of losing control of this area. You think maybe you're standing back here and you're like, oh, they're starting to push in, like they're definitely going to get through the choke point. You're like, all right, I'm going to just take this time really quickly to come and stand like up here, because this is really obnoxious to get to, and now I can see everything, right? And it's really hard to actually get to me. So it's important to think about where you're standing is the moral of that story, but it got a little bit off track. So, and then the last thing that I want to kind of demonstrate is like looking around, which sounds really benign, but lower SR games as well, you see a lot of like, people don't really look around that much in general, and if they do, it's very sort of slow, like, but like, generally people just sort of look in one direction and they like focus on the thing they're doing, right? Very common with like Mercy players where they just like look at the person they're tethered to. You want to be looking around as much as possible. Imagine, right? We're shooting a lot. They've got like a pretty average team. They've got like a Reinhardt, and most of their team is behind their Reinhardt at the gate, right? We're like doing this. But they've also got a Genji, and we think Genji's behind us right now. So we're standing kind of back here, and we're shooting at the Reinhardt because, you know, we're soldier. We gotta shoot at the shield to try and break the shield. But you wanna just occasionally be like, you know, just very quickly like, oh, Genji there? No? Okay. And you just very quickly, because you still want to be as efficient. You're still trying to do like as much damage as possible, but you want to like keep an eye out for the Genji at the same time, right? And then so just like look around and like wherever there could be danger, just like keep an eye on that area to see if the danger is coming from. And then like, all right, you're like, okay, I'm standing here. All right, now I see Genji coming. So now I come back over here because I can still like do my job over here, but now I'm also covered from the Genji, and I can like start fighting him as he comes up, that kind of thing. And then after that, I guess there's one last thing. After that, there's for soldiers specifically, there's some more sort of micro stuff. I would say not to worry about this kind of thing right now. If you're just trying to like get better, this is sort of like if you're in like gold plat level, you would want to start worrying about this more, because there's bigger issues to worry about generally than this kind of thing early on. And Soldier's gun is pinpoint accurate to a point. This would be easier if I turn Bloom on, actually, because I don't have Bloom turned on my controls. Where's Bloom? See, I can't even find Bloom quickly, because I turned this off forever ago. Video? Nope. Alright, whatever. Never mind. I'm not going to sit here and comb through credits, options for a while. So, Soldier's gun is pinpoint accurate up until you've fired 4 shots, and then it starts to spread out. So, the idea is that you want to just fire 4 times and then stop, or like, and it takes a little while for the spread to come back in, because they nerfed this at one point. This is easier to illustrate, like, with Bloom. And if you're learning, I would recommend turning the Bloom on, so that you can sort of get a better feel for it while you're still learning. But the idea is, like, you want to be as close to, like, 4 shots, and then, like, wait just a bit for it to be close back in again, and then you start shooting. Because you see, it's still, like, pinpoint accurate. Whereas if you hold it down, it starts to spread out more, like so. So you want to try and the reason I point this out is because in this game there's a lot of, like, very jerky sort of, again, kind of just, like, uncomfortable stuff where we take, like, uneven amounts of shots, and, like, we seem very slow at times, where, like, someone's not actually that far away. That's not the right button. Someone's not actually that far away, and we just started, like, one-tapping them, which you don't really want to do, because it is pinpoint accurate until the 4th shot, so you want to be, like, that kind of thing. And then this is, like, way higher order stuff. You can cancel Soldier's reload. And this is the thing I'm gonna fuck up, right? Because once he actually slams it in, he is finished reloading. But there's, like, this extra clicking animation. You can cancel that with any of his abilities, including sprints. So, again, don't worry about this until you get, like, higher up, but it is worth pointing out just as, like, a thing that you can cancel his reload. So, if you're trying to be as efficient as possible in the damage you're doing, you want to do stuff like reload, cancel it with rockets, reload, cancel it with biotic field, reload, cancel it with sprints. Because you just save, like, the extra half a second. And again, don't worry about that until you're higher up, because there's bigger issues to worry about. This is the sort of thing you start worrying about in, like, Plat. But it's worth pointing out just so that you're aware it's there, basically. Also, general thing with Soldier that I should have pointed out before accidentally pushing the Alt button, but Soldier's ult reloads his gun. So, the ultimate efficiency is that, like, you've done something like this. You've, like, reloaded, cancelled it with the rockets or something. You empty it out, and then you just reload, fills your gun up, and then you start firing again. It's like if you're playing, like, Reaper as well. You want to, like, empty your clip and then spin, because then your guns reload, basically. That kind of thing. Again, this is, like, higher order stuff. Don't worry about that until, like, way later. So anyway, that rambling, incoherent nonsense out of the way, let's come over to the actual game. And you're going to notice a very sharp drop in quality now. So, didn't get the video in the correct place. Oh, what a professional operation we run around here. So anyway, hopefully that sort of got the point across, you know. I thought it would be, oh god, I've destroyed everything. Thought it would be easier to describe with the demonstration rather than being like, you don't want to do this, you want to kind of like do this instead, you know. Showing is easier than telling. So let's actually start the game. Didn't write down what our team comp is. We're in like 900 SR range. It's not, doesn't matter that much. Apologies for the quality, the resolution was kind of low, so I've kind of like upscaled it, so it looks a little blocky. So, we're standing up here. Standing up here is fine, as we just talked about, and we're waiting for someone to appear. Here's D.Va. D.Va is not actually scary to fight as Soldier. You can just, like, actually hold your ground in this situation. D.Va and Winston are not scary to Soldier because they can't actually kill you through Biotic Field very consistently. D.Va can, but she has to be really, really good. Like, you're never really gonna see it happen. Like, you can just actually put the biotic field down and fight a D.Va or a Winston, because they can't kill you through biotic field. And if someone comes over to help you as well, like Mercy comes over to heal us, like, then it's easy. Like, we can actually just fight her up there. We don't have to give up the high ground. So, then, this is another thing. We drop the biotic field and then just kind of leave it. Biotic Field has a very long cooldown. It's 15 seconds. It's one of the longest cooldowns in the game. It's like Mercy ult at Mercy Res at 30 seconds. It's still basically an ult. Mercy Res, Hanzo's Sonic Arrow is 20 seconds, and then it's Soldier's Biotic Field at 15 seconds. Very long cooldown, so we want to be quite deliberate with how we use it. You don't want to put it somewhere and then just immediately leave it behind, because then, well, you just use a big cooldown for nothing, basically. So now we're gonna get into scuffle with D.Va. Our whole team has, like, come back here to try and fight baby D.Va, which is, not great. But, so, here is the Pharah, and, like, just, the stuff I talked about early on, like, now that you will probably be able to see it now that I've described it that way, so, like, just, like, it happens a lot throughout the video. I'm not gonna stop and point out, oh, here we're being really slow and methodical, and here we're, like, tap shooting, like, really awkwardly. Like, if you're looking for it, you'll see it, kind of thing, you know? So, here we're doing the forwards and backwards, though, as you can see. It's a little bit awkward, right? Like, you see what I mean? It doesn't look it's not very fluid and, comfortable looking. And we actually, there was, like, here we see, like, the looking, it's like, come on. Oh, just, like, spin all the way. Also, your sensitivity looks kind of low looking at that, because it looked like it was difficult for you to turn around. Like, you had to kind of, like, a couple times. Maybe turn the sensitivity up just, like, a little bit, because you do want to be able to do, like, a 180 very quickly. You don't want turning around to be awkward. But you do still want your sensitivity, like, low, because if it's too high, you're just like, but turning around looked a little bit difficult right there. But again, it's like, you just do a complete 180. There's no reason to do that, because we can infer where danger would be coming from. Probably not anyone on the left side, just like, and like, there's no need to do a complete 180 either. You're just like, oh, over there, no danger, come back over here, start shooting again. You want it to be like, quick and decisive. This is like the biggest difference you see between low SR and high SR games. It's like, high SR games are kind of the same, they just happen faster, basically. People don't hesitate, and there aren't these like slow, kind of unsure moments. It's just like, let's go, let's do it, kind of stuff. And like, you know, forwards and backwards, not great. And the firing is a little bit awkward. Also, general thing for Soldier. Soldier's thing is about doing consistent high DPS, right? He's very consistent damage dealer. That's like what he has over like McCree. McCree is consistent, but Soldier is like a steady stream of DPS. So you're just like looking to do as much DPS as possible, basically. So your rocket, this is the point I'm building up to here. Your rocket is not a cooldown to like sit on for a very long period of time, because it just does more damage, right? It's not a utility ability. It's not like it can save you in a duel, but really it's a low cooldown and it only does damage, so you really just want to like throw it out as frequently as possible, basically. If you think you can hit something with your Helix rocket, you should try and hit it with your Helix rocket, because you're just trying to do as much damage as possible. So don't like sit on the rockets. And like, again, you know, higher order stuff, you can cancel reload with the rockets, but don't worry about that right now. There's bigger issues right now. It's just worth pointing out because eventually it'll matter, but right now it doesn't matter that much. So, just fire rockets as much as possible. Even if you're just shooting at a Reinhardt shield, just like shoot the rockets at that, because you want to break that thing, right? So, here we sort of give up firing at the D.Va to shoot over there. D.Va is a bigger issue right now because she is in here trying to kill our Mercy. And, like, she's probably not going to, but we want to get her off the Mercy as quickly as possible. And, like, we want to kill the baby D.Va, who is easier to kill right now, because we want to kill, like, if we can just kill someone, that's really important. Just, like, killing a person is really good, because it's hard to fight 5v6. So if like D.Va's over here, she's overstepped her boundaries by doing that, just like focus her down, kill her, because she's out of position, we can kill her really quickly, and then it's hard for the enemy team to fight because they're 5v6. We just kind of like ignore her for a very long period of time, even though she's like right in front of us, and we want to kill her as quickly as possible. And again, we see like, kind of takes a while to move around. It's very slow and uncomfortable looking, and it like really stood out to me in this game. So, Hanzo's using his ultimate. We take a very awkward path to avoid this, because we run straight through the center of the dragon. If we just go right, we don't get hit by it at all. We decide, we sprint like straight through the entire thing, which is awkward also. We use Biotic Field to heal up, which is fair enough, seeing as we just took damage, but we could have avoided taking damage and not had to use the cooldown, basically. So, Far's behind us, and here's, like, positioning is coming into it now, because we don't have a Reinhardt. And we're just kind of standing in the middle of the rock garden right now, and, like, we're trying to hit this lady. She does that, which is not allowed either. But, like, think about what the enemy team sees, right? Because right now, and I mean, they're distracted, but, like, imagine what the enemy team would see if things were, like, less weird over there. They just see us, like, kind of standing still, looking straight up in the air, and, like, occasionally we move very slowly. It makes it easy to kill you. We're not even full HP while we're doing that. That's, like, a terrible use of company resources. Like, just, you want to make sure that you're never really standing still and, like, taking these slow movements. You don't want to just, like, slowly walk out into open space kind of stuff either. We are trying to kill the Pharah, so, like, I get that, but, like, you're still trying to make yourself difficult to kill at the same time. If you want to kill the Pharah and she's, like, in that kind of position, it's better to sort of go around, like, more over in this direction, because then you're shielded from, like, this area, but you can still kill the Pharah, but you're protected from, like, the rest of her team, right? It's important to not tunnel vision on the person that you're shooting at, which is very easy to do as Soldier. He's quite prone to it. Again, the looking around is a little bit awkward. Here we hear the tire coming, and oh, here comes the tire. Doesn't come towards us. Doesn't actually kill anybody, so woo, good times. Again, just fire the rockets out. Like, we were sitting on the cooldown. We could have hit that Reinhardt with those rockets. Like, just fire those rockets at the dude. If you think you can hit a guy with the rockets, you want to hit the guy with the rockets. Usually people hold it for, like, that kind of thing where they hold it to try and finish somebody off. And, like, yeah, you know, it does finish people off, but at the same time, the higher order thing that you're trying to do is you're just trying to do as much damage as possible, and the rockets help with that. So here, like, don't do this kind of thing where, like, Reinhardt's near you, and we just sort of walk past him. Reinhardt's gonna kill you real quick if you're point blank, so you want to, like, sprint away from the Reinhardt. This is the thing Soldier has. Sprint is a pretty good movement ability for how average it seems. If you're, like, in an awkward position, just sprint out of the way. So, we're gonna use Tac Visor here, and we kill both of the supports with it. We end up having to jump off the high ground because people kind of go underneath us, which is unfortunate because we'd rather stay up on the high ground with Tac Visor. But that's a fair enough time to use Tac Visor because people were out in the open. We killed supports with it. So the way we've been tracking right now, and this is a little bit more inference, but we see Hanzo go up onto the high ground, and we start retreating back this way. And then, think about where we're backing up to. We're backing up into the area that connects to the way Hanzo just went, so it's no surprise when suddenly Hanzo is behind us, but we've just been backing up into him the whole time, so this is an awkward way to go because, well, Hanzo could have killed us. So, you know, positioning is difficult to do perfectly, because it's something you're doing constantly, and there tends to be a lot of things that come into where you should be standing, but, if we saw where Hanzo was going, and we start backing up into the area that connects into it while going backwards, it's pretty easy to get killed by the person in that position. You gotta just kind of, like, keep track of it. So here, this is, like, really standard mistake. This point's gone. There's no way we defend it, because most of our team is dead, and they've already captured it. We, like, come way far up to, like, fight over a point we've already lost, and we are gonna die for it. Like, don't even come up here to begin with, because that point's gone. Half our team... If your team is down... Here's, like, a general rule of thumb, right? Because people... This is a pretty common question. People are like, how do I know if a fight has been lost or we're gonna lose? And the way I think about it is, if you're down 2 people, you're gonna lose the fight. But barring exceptional circumstances... 2 people is too much to overcome. 4v6 is too hard. Or I should say you're down 2 and the enemy team, like, hasn't lost anybody yet, right? If you're down 2 relative to the enemy team, you're probably going to lose the fight, barring exceptional circumstances, because, like, a 5v6 is already kind of hard. A 4v6 is very, very hard. Unless you've got, like, 4 ultimates and they've got no ultimates, you're going to lose the fight. So if you're down 2 people relative to the enemy team, you're probably going to lose it. Other thing is, if you're just missing your main healer, or your only healer, you're probably going to lose the fight as well, unless they've also lost their main healer or all their healers, which is kind of unlikely. So, that's just like general rule of thumb that I sort of go by. It's like, yeah, if they're down 2 people, probably not going to happen. So, here, Farah is like right up on our face. We take a while to put the biotic field down. So, we want to put it down, like, as soon as we get into a fight. As long as we know we're gonna, like, stay there and fight, right? Like, again, we don't want to leave it behind. We want to put it down as soon as possible. Here, we're, walking into the people we're shooting at, which is also a bad habit, because Soldier's a mid to long range fighter. He wants to be as far away from the enemy team as possible. He's at his... Oh, God. Excuse me, Jesus. Oh. Sorry, Jesus. Soldier is at his weakest when people are right on top of him. We want to be as far away as possible. Moving into the person you're shooting at doesn't give you anything. Alright, it makes them slightly easier to hit because you're closer to them, but you don't do more damage because you're closer to them or anything, right? You should just be able to hit them from further away, ideally. So try not to move into the people you're shooting at, because Soldier doesn't want to be close to the people that he's shooting at. Usually you're only coming closer to the enemy's area of influence. So, we do want to try and get control of the balcony, because the balcony is really overpowered on Hanamura's second point. Because certain characters are just overpowered on the high ground, and Soldier is, like, easily the most overpowered on the high ground, because think about the point, right? There's a big box, right, with no cover on it, basically. So if you're on the high ground, just, like, looking down at the box, you've got your Soldier's zone of threat is his entire line of sight. If you're up there, you can see the entire point, and it's really hard to get to you because there are only a couple ways to get up there without movement abilities, and they're pretty out of the way, right? So we want to try and get control of that area if possible. There's only a Junkrat up there right now. Junkrat shouldn't do that. Like, the whole team's looking at him, and, like, here, just such greed. Like, he could have gotten you, Zenyatta, and the Torbjorn turret, but he decided that he didn't want to do that, and just didn't get anything with the ult instead. If the entire enemy team is looking at you as your Junkrat, you don't want to use your ult, because they're probably just going to break it as soon as it comes around the corner. So, Junkrat's dead now. We can see he's just died up in the kill feed. That means we can go stand on the high ground now. If somebody's up there, and we're playing Soldier, it's hard for us to go and contest it ourselves, because we have to walk up the staircase. Right now, nothing's happening out here, and Junkrat's dead, so nobody's actually up there anymore. So now, we could take this opportunity to go and set up on the high ground, and now we're on the high ground, they've got to try and come into us, so we have the defender's advantage, and then we can threaten this entire space, right? Like, fighting people up there is easier, because you're on the high ground, so you're actually at level with them. Whereas right now, we're going to have to fire up onto the high ground at them, which is difficult for us, right? And it's like, you can't shoot at people out here if you're up there. Yeah, alright, you know, you can come and stand on the balcony with the windows and, like, peek out those and then just fall back as people are coming in. But just, like, being up there is so strong, because as they try and advance into you, you're just going to kill them. I do believe that if you play someone like Soldier or McCree, just maintaining control over the high ground will get you up to gold. Because people don't appreciate how strong the high ground is. Just abusing high ground in really low SRs is enough to win games. Because some heroes are just overpowered on high ground, and Soldier is one of them. McCree is also overpowered on high ground. Junkrat can be, though he benefits from it less. Zenyatta is really strong on high ground. Widowmaker, Hanzo. Anybody long range, basically. So, Mercy is using Valkyrie right now, so we are going to use Attack Visor to try and kill her. We use it a little bit late. If we slap it on a little bit faster, we probably kill her before she gets around the corner. So I'm saying, snap decisions. You're like, Mercy's out in open space with Valkyrie. Boom, just put it on as quickly as possible. You want her dead. She manages to slip away, but, like, they're still losing this fight. Like, they're not going to win this fight anyway, so that doesn't matter. But, just like snap decisions. Mercy's in open space in Valkyrie. I'm putting Attack Visor on, I'm gonna kill her. If I'm playing McCree, and I got Deadeye, and she's out in the middle of open space, I'm gonna kill her real quick. Because she has to move very quickly to get out of line of sight before you can kill her if she's just floating out in open space. So, here we are again moving into the person we're shooting at. Like, this Reinhardt's overstepped his boundaries very badly, but again, we don't want to be, like, moving into the people we're shooting at if at all possible. And, like, we don't want to stand on the point, really, if at all possible, because the point is the most dangerous place to stand, especially on, like, a map like Hanamura, because it's just a big open square. It's the most dangerous place to stand. We let the tanks stand on the point. If you're playing a DPS, especially a long-range DPS like Soldier, you don't want to stand on the point unless you absolutely have to, because you want to be somewhere where you're safe and you can just do damage. Like, I don't know what she's doing over there, but she decided to do it. You just want to be somewhere you're safe and can do damage, just as much damage as possible, and it's hard for you to die. So, like, standing back here is better than standing on the point. Standing on the high ground is the best place you can stand. And, like, we're moving on to the point. We got tanks on the point. We don't need to stand on the point right now. You don't come and stand on the point unless you absolutely have to as a DPS. Or a support as well. Tanks exist for a reason. They're meant to stand on the point, and so that we don't have to. So, we control the point. They don't get control of the point, and someone on their team is going to leave. They've left the game right now, and as you can see, this replay is really short. Yeah, we're going to bowl right over them because they're 5v6. It's hard to win a game 5v6, and they don't win the game 5v6. So, there's not so much to talk about from this point on, because the replay is kind of dumb. Which is also why I wasn't so bothered about having this very long, tangent point, this long, like, demonstration right at the start. It basically ended up being the length of an average round, so it sort of evens out in the end, because this part's really short and there's not much to say about it, you know? They're 5v6, they're fucked. They've already lost Torbjorn and his turret, so now they're 4v6, they've lost the fight. It's kind of just that simple. It starts to get that way when you've, like, played a lot of Overwatch, where eventually you, like, a fight starts and you can kind of just tell immediately how the fight's gonna go. Because it's like, yeah, they're 5v6, they just lost Torbjorn, now they're 4v6, they've got no ultimates, we've got no ultimates, but they've got no ultimates and they're down 2 people, they're gonna lose the fight. It's just kind of that simple. Roadhog hooks us, he didn't one-shot us, he can, but he did not execute it correctly. Pro tip, if you're playing Roadhog, you can still one-shot people, even after they've reduced his damage from how it used to be. You can still one-shot people pretty consistently, as long as you take a step into them before you fire, because then and then melee as well for good measure. You're gonna kill the guy. The exception is like once they get like 250 HP or higher, then it starts getting hard to one-shot them. It can still happen, but Roadhog can still one-shot people consistently. Just take a step into them. So yeah, they're still 4v6. I don't think they actually even have a healer, so they lose. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. They're not gonna win. It's not tenable. They can't do it. So, real short attacking around, right? Makes it real. And we only had a Zenyatta. Oh no, we had an Ana as well. My bad. So, soldier play of the game. It's shut down. Oh right, yeah, I guess so. Shutdown play of the games are always so exciting, because it's always like, someone used their ultimate really badly and got killed immediately for it, right? It's always so exciting. So, things that stand out the most in this game, we already talked about it at length, so I'm not gonna belabor the point any further here. So, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.